Vasudevendra Yogindram Natva Jnana Pradam Gurum Mumukshunam Hitarthaya Tattvabodho Bhidhiyate. So Shama, we said, is, okay, let's open up. Shama, give me one word. Let's start with one. What is Shama? One word.
Peaceful mind.
Peaceful mind. Elaborate 5 words on a peaceful mind. That is 2 words. That's good, but give me something more. What is peaceful mind? Someone contribute.
Not getting caught up in thoughts.
Yeah. Okay. And what is something that we could give me a practical example of not getting caught up in thoughts? Focused mind on, okay, on something else other than the thought, you mean? Other than the thought that we're getting caught up in? Maybe redirection?
Something important.
Something, I like this. So what? Now we can say peaceful mind, not getting caught up on the thoughts. So not getting caught up on the thoughts is peaceful mind. And then what? How? By redirecting our focus on something bigger, something vaster. This is why I started out this, when this woman, she was a student of mine, I can't get this out of my mind. We were doing Titiksha, which is coming up soon. And I said to her, give me a summary of Titiksha. And she said, just full stop, because what happens when we go with our thoughts? Full stop. It happened, full stop. Breathe. And just everything, all is well in the big picture. All is well in the big picture. I love that. Full stop. Breathe. All is well in the big picture. And there's so much depth. Of course, the big picture, that word will increase in depth as we go through the program. And so Shama is intervening with our mind, because the mind likes to go. It has no stop of its own. We need to bring in that effort to stop it. This is what Shama is. Intervening, conscious intervening, until you regain some ownership of this constant flow of the mind, until you regain some relative ownership of the mind. It doesn't mean that it cannot be regained. It doesn't mean that it cannot be regained. It can be regained. It seems hard because what we didn't grow up with in school. Let's go to mind management programs. We learned what? We saw boys, we saw girls, and so many around us. So we had endless objects. So our minds got trained to focus on endless toys, endless objects. And now we have nowadays what? What kind of issues do we have? Short-term attention span, and then what? In fact, TikTok is just a product of this new age of thinking, because YouTube has videos that are 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 1 hour. But what is TikTok? It is literally swipe, one few seconds, a swipe again. So look at this. So, and how popular is TikTok? Their explosion, a huge explosion. So this tells you what happens when the attention span is so short that it cannot actually focus on anything long enough to extract some usefulness out of it. And so our duty here is to intentionally stop. Yes, my mind wants to move on, but I choose it not to let it slide on to the next thing until I'm happy with what I've extracted from this situation. What have I extracted that fulfills me? Do I feel fulfilled from having extracted a satisfactory conclusion that I can see myself applying in the future and benefiting from having a sense of well-being next time? So this means I refuse to move on until I feel fulfilled that I have extracted sufficient conclusions, sufficient data from the situation until it satisfies who? None other than yourself, because you're the master, the fella behind the steering wheel who is driving the bus. So now the bus is driving. This is called the mind. The bus constantly drives. This is a bus with endless fuel. That's called the mind. Now this bus, it has to be what? One has to sit behind and start to say, I want to skip that road which says entanglement road. I'm going to skip entanglement road. I'm going to what? Peaceful mind, peaceful mind road, a big purpose, big vision road. This is intentionally turning the steering wheel. So, in the Kena Upanishad, we have a similar teaching. They use horses, but it doesn't matter, horses, bus, right? They have, 5 horses, and they are what? The 5 senses. This is why we need Dhamma, because the horses they just go. This is what the senses do. They just see. They have no sense of stop seeing, continue seeing. They just go. They just see. So now these 5, what is it? 1 horse or 5 horses? I forgot. And then what? Reins? How many reins? 5 reins? 5 reins? No, what is it? 5 horses? 5 horses and 5 reins.
No,
one rein. One.
Horse, and the reins and the guy who was sitting in the podium.
Yeah. Now the reins represent the mind, right? Yeah. The horses represent. They just are. They're contacting the world. That's what the senses do. They contact the world. Now, where does all of this contact go? This goes inside the mind. The mind, which is we call, as we will get to the sankalpa vikalpa. Sankalpa vikalpa. Did I close the door? I close the door. Did I close the door? I close the door. Did I close the door? Okay, I close the door. Right? Now when it finally goes into what? This stable mode, right? This doubting mechanism called the mind goes into stable mode, it now becomes what? Your intellect. So the intellect has this what? Stability, whereas when you're in this doubting, you don't quite know, I'm not sure I made up my mind. When they say, make up your mind. When they say that? What is it saying? You can't make up your mind because the mind is what? The nature of the mind is to not be made up. It's only made up what? When it's transferred, made a conclusion in the intellect. So now, so what does the mind do? Its job is to doubt. If it didn't doubt, then how would you discern what is healthy and unhealthy for you? It's a survival mechanism. It's incorporated. It's meant to doubt. It's meant to produce skepticism. But now the problem is when one remains too long in this skepticism and they say, this is called, New Age spirituality. I am open to anything, or whatever goes, whatever, I'm open to anything. This means the person's what? Identified with their mind. So now they're in their mind, the mind's constantly doubting, it's never decided what is actually for me and what is not for me. And so now eventually, what? You have to make a decision. So what happens if you don't make a decision? That's called constant confusion, constant doubting. And there's no peaceful mind in that. There's no peace in that. So now when Shan said peaceful mind, what did he really say? He said, get out of that sankalpa, vikalpa, out of that pendulum. Get out of that pendulum, make up your mind. You may make a mistake. You're going to get feedback anyway, whether we make a mistake or not, right? Make up your mind and then see where that decision is going to take you. And then the feedback is going to come back and then kind of, refine the process like this. But the point is the mind has to be made up. Now, the question is, what makes how do we, endure, this process of having to make up the mind? How do we make this process easier of, being exposed to so many options, so many choices? How do we actually, deal with that? And I think it's going to mention now, the next one is, that's endurance, but let's see what it says about uparama. So, uparama kaha swadharma anushtanam eva. Swadharma anushtanam eva. So, swadharma is.
Excuse me.
Yeah?
I don't know where we are now.
It starts with uparama. Uparama.
Yeah. What is it? The qualification?
After Dhamma.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah.
I'm using a book, so I cannot really help you.
I hear you.
Okay, so now uparama is, it says what? Swadharma Anushtanam. See, Anushtanam eva. So eva just means only, but that's not important. Now, what is Swadharma? Doing what is to be done. According to whom? According to someone else who told you? No, according to what you find important and what needs to be done right now for the sake of what? Preserving harmony. For whom? For yourself only? No. What else? For everyone involved. That means both parties have to be included. Now, how do I know I'm not doing my duty, my personal duty? Doesn't matter. See, the question is where? Where do I do? Because we're always doing something. So, it doesn't matter where. The better question is, how do I know wherever I am that what I am doing, whether I am in alignment with my duty or out of alignment with my duty? And the answer is always the same. Do you understand the question? How do I know whether I'm in alignment with my duty, not someone else's duty, with my duty, what is to be done now, or I derailed myself, out of alignment with my duty? The answer is very easy. If one has fell out of alignment with their duty, then the focus is on one's own well-being, one's own sort of benefit, my agenda. What will I get out of this? And in that moment, there is lack of consideration for what? For whoever else would be on the receiving end, whoever else would be involved in my environment. They don't have to be involved, but they could be involved, maybe a month from now. Because suppose, a fella, is not loyal in their relationship, and they kind of get away with it. But what's the consequences of that? The consequences are going to bear that dishonesty, and they're going to have to now keep that, and say to their whoever, I was doing this, I was at home, but that's not the case. So now what? I am in that moment, and that person, like a radar, they will sense something is going on.
There's also guilt.
Guilt, and that's a feedback mechanism. Yeah. So this feedback mechanism tells me that that my personal swadharma has not complied with both my needs but also your needs. So this two-way is how the world works. In nature, look at nature. It's giving us back. It's also using the rains for itself to replenish itself. So anything in this world, if you look at nature, it's always a two-way thing. The animal world will actually teach you more than any human can in terms of what it means to preserve harmony. And that is, they take as much as they need, not more, right? They have a general trust. There's some trust there. And what they also give back. That sometimes the antelope will offer itself maybe unwillingly, with hesitation, to the lion, right? But nevertheless, when the lion grabs it by the neck, there's a point where the antelope just surrenders. I'm just going to stop fighting. I give myself to you. So maybe this is another interesting program that comes in. I give myself to you. I have taken from the grass, I now give myself to you. So even the antelope has a program. Even the lion has a personal swadharma. What does this swa mean? Swa, S-V-A, means personal. And dharma, see, dharma has many connotations. You hear this word dharma everywhere. So several meanings. The first meaning of dharma is the nature of something. The nature of something. For example, the nature of fire is heat, right? So the dharma of fire is heat. The second definition of dharma is, the universal ethical values. Universal ethical values, which means they were true 1,000 years ago, they are as true now, and they will be true 1,000 years from now. Universal ethical values which preserve our human species. If there was no dharma built into the human program, then what would happen? You and I would be afraid to go out because, someone could just get killed and the person would have no remorse. So now thank God that dharma is built in. Otherwise, what happens? One would just take their life like that, have no remorse. Neighbors noisy, they got a loud TV on. I'll just bring a weapon, take care of, sort them out. So now thank God that we have this program, which is why we don't want to hurt ourselves. because the program is so strong that it prevents you from taking your own life. Now the question is, why do some people take their life anyway? So what happens is, as we will soon see, when we get to definition of who you are, what's the human drive? The human drive universally, I want to live. Okay, human drive, the most overpowering drive of all, even more than I want to procreate and I want to eat, is I want to live. Yeah, we can all relate to this. But live how? Live with misery? No. What happens? How do I want to live? That one who's making a claim, I want to live, how is that one? What is the underlining silent message behind that claim? I want to live happily, which again, that tells you what? Your nature cannot be anything other than, happiness. In fact, your nature is not happiness. This has to be analyzed as we will. Happiness is an expression of your nature, but you are not happiness. You're not bound just by happiness. Now how else? I want to live happily. Now, what about this? Do you want to live ignorant? No one wants to live. Okay, I can live happily, but I don't want to live ignorant. I want to know. Now, these three drives are what? An expression of, when we describe the definition of Satyam Jnanam Anantam, when we get to Brahman. And therefore, this definition actually proves indirectly that what the Vedas is talking about is not something made up, but it's directly an expression of Brahman when we describe Brahman. I'm not going to do it now. Okay? So, now Swadharma, how is Swadharma done? What does it mean? Because look at this. We spoke about Raga, Dvesha, those things that I have a longing for, enthusiastic about, and those things that I hate, I don't like, I push away. Whether it's for my well-being or not, just because I don't like it, I push it away. This is the power of Raga and Dvesha. So now, when it says Swadharma, what does this mean? It means that one conducts their duty, they subserve their Raga, Dvesha in the light of which Purushartha? Number 4, moksha. So this means you cannot get rid of Raga Dvesha. They are habits, they're ingrained, they're deep. Okay? So there's no point of getting rid of likes and dislikes, but rather having the power, the pool of likes and dislikes of Raga Dvesha subserve the highest human goal. So this means what? Yes, I do have a longing for, suppose, parting. Okay? Suppose you say that, not me personally, but suppose you, Felix, why is smiling? You have a longing for farting, right? But now, you say, okay, but, suppose you don't want to give that up. That's fine. We're not saying give it up, because we said that everything has what? Emotional value. Everything has value to it. So we say, okay, however, you can still, you can convert that as a form of subserving your higher goal. So how you do that? We're not trying to play tricks on our mind now and mix one thing with the other. But you say, hey, I'm getting some experience. I'm learning how to, I'm discovering about myself. I can still learn about other human beings. I can make some, conversation. And all of this is, building my character. So look at this. This is wonderful. So Advaita doesn't say give it up, because the truth is you will not give it up. We will only shake our heads, yeah, we need to give this up. But in real life, it doesn't happen, does it? So we say what? Convert it, because it's there, it's true. Convert it into what? Make it subserve your highest goal. And automatically, through the course of time, it will subside naturally. It will take a different tone where the natural interest just subsides away. So there's no point of forcing anything. We cannot be forced, because we're not a machine. So it just subsides of its own accord. But while it lasts, what? It's what? Subservient to your big vision, as we said. Okay? Okay. Is Swadharma supposed to be enjoyable? Do something you love. find your passion, do something you love. Okay, how about this? A father is holding a baby, and the baby does its business. You know, baby goes, okay, it poops. Now, is this pleasant for the father to change nappies? No, but it is the duty of the father to change the nappies. If the father doesn't change the nappies, then the father is going to have conflict with himself. What kind of a dad am I? I should have done better. You know, I was there. I should have done it. So what does this mean? You know, if it's duty, it doesn't have to be necessarily enjoyable. But how is the father going to feel after he has done this unpleasant thing? Good. So this now tells you again that my Swadharma was indeed aligned with what I was meant to do, despite it not seeming pleasant in that moment. So, survival is also like this, one way or the other. A business doesn't have to be, a job doesn't have to necessarily be enjoyable, but it's still done, for the sake of preserving, your stability in the future. So this whole thing of, enjoy thing, there's a fine balance here. We're not going to say you should enjoy, you should not enjoy, but you can see it's not black or white. Okay? So now, so what does Swadharma do? What's the benefit of Swadharma? It reduces conflicts in life. In fact, any conflict is a product of what? Finding myself in the wrong place at the wrong time. Because what? And so when we find ourselves in the wrong place in the wrong time, we don't say what is appropriate. We don't think. We don't share deep thoughts. So in other words, so this means this is wonderful, because how do you put your best self forward? We usually say, to be your best, just kind of pump yourself up. Okay, whatever, that probably has some validity, but look at, even better is just find yourself in a place where you're compatible with it, a place where you shine. You know those places where automatically it exudes your shine, your light? So now this is also one's duty to what? To be within an environment whereby you're motivated to shine automatically. So therefore, in that environment, you're doing what? You're shining your Swadharma automatically. You're not even thinking, oh, should I do what is my Swadharma? Like myself right here, I'm sitting here, I don't have to think about Swadharma, it's just shining automatically, because one's aligned with their strengths. So to be aligned with your strengths is to automatically be aligned with Swadharma. And what does Swadharma do? It reduces conflict. Going back to Shan, it produces a peaceful mind. What is a peaceful mind? It's redirecting your thoughts into the big vision. What is the big vision? It is the fourth Purushartha. What is the fourth Purushartha? It is moksha. And what does that imply? Having a big vision. So therefore, whatever I do, I subserve my ragas and dveshas onto the big vision. And that is what? By definition, my Swadharma. In fact, your highest Swadharma is what? Moksha. Moksha, it's the highest Swadharma. Yeah, in the Vedas we have this ashrama, we have this Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra and Vaishya. Vaishya and Shudra. And, so what does this mean? So in the Veda, see, they made a very interesting connection. Is they say, for example, when you're born in a certain family, then your family will enjoy some characteristics, some personality traits. And we all know our parents have some traits, right? Engineers, some are workers, farmers, and so on. So now, in the old days, it was very easy. Whatever your parents do, if your parents are brahmanas, they're educators, they're informers, then you automatically, by definition, take that duty, that Swadharma duty. Or your parents are merchants or in business, they're called Vaishyas. So that now you just go, yeah, I'm going to help my dad, grow the business. So it's very easy. So in one sense, even when we're born, even the family in which we're born, it's almost like we start out predisposed towards that particular, that family, right? However, you can still get out of this, because a lot of us think that oh, so what, my swadharma is to do what my parents do. My swadharma is to do what my culture does, what I've been told. This is not the case. So swadharma, despite it being a natural thing when you grow up, right? You don't have to do much effort. You will just align yourself with what your parents do, but through effort, you can what? You can rise, you can uplift yourself, you can uplift your own swadharma. I often listen to some lucky, like Sarva Priyananda. I heard his story. He was born in a religious family, they already had the guru. So now Sarva Priyananda, is born in this, it's all accommodated, it's all ready. So he doesn't have to do much work. He doesn't have to go, oh, what is my purpose? Where should I go? You're just accommodated inside a family who already has a guru, and you just kind of continue their path. The rest of us are not so lucky. We get born in an ordinary family who may be farmers, who may be just ordinary, civilized people, but then you go, this is not quite what I'm resonating with. There's something in me that desires more than all of this. So now, for the rest of us, we have what? We have a swadharma to actually uplift ourselves little by little. And sometimes people ask me, Andre, you're okay, whatever they say, I don't want to say what they say, but you're smart and all this, and how do you know all this? This is what, I don't say this is what they say, I'm just feedback. So, and were you born in a family? Were you born in I say, no, my parents, I was born in an ordinary family. My parents did not even show me what kissing is, what holding hands is. We never even shared emotions in our house. It's a foreign idea. I didn't know what it means to say, how do you feel? This was foreign to me. All of this, right? So look at this. A person is born in a family which is, basic religion, go to church and all this, but nothing more than that. Communication skills are foreign, no sense of apologizing, that was completely foreign to me. No sense of sharing feelings, you hurt me, I appreciate if you don't do this. This was just, totally foreign to me. So all of these things, I tell you, I had to learn from beginning. There was no models, role model, family role model for me. It was all from scratch. In fact, the reason I'm, in this place is because I felt that I missed out for so many years, and I said, now I'm going to really catch up. I'm going to do my best to really catch up, because I felt that 17 years of my life was just what? Living like an ordinary fella, and there's this whole world, beautiful, wonderful world of, thinking and, having thoughts that are much higher than where I grew up. So this is what it means to uplift oneself consciously. So no, my personal life was not at all easy. It was just a constant one struggle after another struggle after another struggle. And this struggle is what teaches us, how to what? It teaches us to appreciate our duty. What is our duty? Constant and never-ending improvement. In fact, now you cannot say to me, yeah, but that's what's constantly improving. Self is beyond all of that. You don't even say this. If you really understand, the self, you don't even talk like this, because one still has to account the person. The person still has an expression of their own, still has a light to shine. Now, if you know you're a light to shine, then why would you deny yourself from shining, to the maximum potential? Why would you deny yourself that? In fact, to deny oneself that's called what? It's something to work on. So therefore, this means what? Swadharma is not only doing the right thing in the moment, but it's also uplifting yourself in the name of what? In the name of truth, in the name of God. Because, God put, all of this here. And so what? I want to please God. Why do I want to please God? Because God gave me this body, gave me this brain, gave me an opportunity, gave me this knowledge, gave me the guru. Tell me one thing that God did not give me. So therefore, by that, I have the right, I have a duty to give back to God. How so? By contributing the light, the little light that I have in this world. And so this also becomes one's swadharma. So this means everyone has a duty to give, because God has been giving you for how long? Since beginningless time. So where's the question of saying, oh, this is just for me, I'm going to use this for myself? This is, again, incorrect thinking. So swadharma is doing the right thing in such a way that you feel fulfilled and there is no regrets afterwards. In that sense, you know that you've done the right thing. Okay, next one, forbearance. Oh, not forbearance. No, not forbearance. Endurance. They call it forbearance here. Endurance or resilience, that's better. Titikshaka, titikshaka, shita ushna, sukha dukkadi, sahishnutvam. So this shitoshna is sandhi. I just broke it down. Shita ushna. It's cold and hot. So endurance. You're already practicing endurance, believe it or not, by sitting down for 1 hour and 15 minutes. That's one form of endurance.
What is actually the difference between endurance and forbearance?
Same thing. I don't relate with the word forbearance. Have you ever heard someone use the word forbearance? I've got forbearance. Really?
Oh yeah, for me it's a normal word. So
Oh, okay.
Now I understand. I thought you had something against it.
Nothing. So I like that another statement. He says, always choose the simplest word. Always choose the word that you relate with. Common, down to earth word. So endurance or resilience. So now, so what is resilience? What is endurance? It's to cheerfully put up with things. Cheerfully. See, if suppose I take the word cheerfully out, what does this mean now? Okay, I'm going to put up with things. Oh, I'm putting up. Is that, okay, that's okay, but is that pleasant? Putting up with things, I'm going to put up with things. So what does it mean to cheerfully put up with things? Does this mean when someone's in your space and they're sort of giving you a hard time, you put a big smile on your face because you're cheerfully putting up? So what is?
That's phony.
Yeah, exactly. So what is this word cheerfully? What is it? What's the implied meaning behind cheerfully?
I would say that you allow things to happen.
You allow things to happen. Okay, I mean,
Accept them as they are.
Accept things as they are. See, now, of course, I can debate this and say, so what? Abuse, allow things to abuse.
No,
Yeah.
it's a kind of openness.
Yeah. Okay, now, why would you allow things to be? What kind of an understanding would make you say, I am to accept things as they are, I am to allow things as they are? What would have to be, on the basis of what understanding would you say that statement?
Resisting the situation doesn't help.
Say again?
Resisting a situation doesn't help.
Yeah.
Doesn't change.
Yeah, it doesn't change what is right now, what is happening.
It has its own path.
It has its own path. It has happened. It is presented. It cannot be any other way than it actually is. I'm confronted with it. So the only way that I can not be cheerful about it is how? What has to kick in? The program called should and shouldn't expectations, right? So now I have an expectation how this thing to be. I expected this person to call me, they did not call me, and now what happens? Now the whole associative memory starts to come in. This is called system 1. I'm abandoned, and then emotional issues start to come in. I feel abandoned, I feel left out, they don't like me, or they're late, or they haven't returned my call. And now, fear, maybe something's happened to them, so now, they should come at this particular time. So look at this. So we project our own version of how things are to be, and then who suffers? Who suffers because of that? Not them. In fact, they do suffer, unfortunately, if they're on the receiving end, but if we start to suffer because of this, because we have this strong need, insistent need, that things should be like this. No, they should be like this. This retreat should be how I expected it. It's not. Okay, and therefore, I'm unhappy. So, in other words, any complaint always arises. What is the precursor to a complaint? What is the source of a complaint? It is the program which, according to what has satisfied you in the past, that program is now overriding and denying you from actually being with this moment. And therefore, now that I'm not with this moment, there's no question of endurance. There's no question of having resilience, or as Radhika said, of accepting the situation as it is. So again, I want to ask you, how do you erase endurance out of your life? How do you erase resilience out of your life? What would you have to do to develop impatience? Because what's the opposite of resilience? Impatience, right? Not accepting, resistance. So how would you have to now experience impatience or not willing to accept things as they are? What would you have to think in that moment to feel like that?
Expecting things to be your way always.
Yeah, okay. Uh-huh.
My way or no way.
Yeah, my way or the highway. This is black or white thinking. Black or white thinking, Now, this is understandable, we all have this. And also culture contributes to this. Where you're born, this will also add onto, or your family will also add how much you actually are willing to put up with it. So, now, going back, what is cheerfully putting up? Now, I bring that statement when a student of mine said, cheerfully putting up involves a full stop. A full stop. What does a full stop mean? It means this has happened. It has happened. So firstly, I'm acknowledging what is the case right now. I'm acknowledging a fact. And when I acknowledge the fact, okay, full stop. Now, when you put a full stop, let me ask you this. If you don't put a full stop, what are you going to put instead? A comma, a comma, right? I know this has happened. I get it. I don't like the situation. It's annoying me and so on. It's happened, comma, and and now what's the state of the mind? It knows no end. Okay. So now, what is cheerfully putting up? It's what acknowledgement means to put a full stop. When you put a full stop, you're objectively accepting the actual facts. You're sticking with the facts. You're focusing on the facts. If I remove that, then the comma comes in, and what follows the comma? The same thinking patterns, which are usually negative in nature, as has happened before, guaranteed. So to cheerfully put up, now we can go back to that statement. This has happened. This situation that displeases me has happened. Full stop. It's happened. Breathe. All is well in the big picture. Actually, all is well in the big picture. This is a very reassuring statement, because if we don't reassure ourselves like this, then the mind will create a story. And this story is going to develop, and the more it develops, the more we give it time to develop, the harder it is to get out of. So the more we ruminate on this story, then it just becomes extremely difficult to now get it out. Even if someone asks you, no, just go take a walk. And you take a walk, and even when you're walking, the story is still coming in there. So this is why I said the most crucial moments when you can intercept this path of continuity of the rumination of thoughts is catch it. The moment it happens, that is your golden opportunity to say it's happened, full stop. Now, what can I do to alleviate the situation? What can I do to solve the problem? Now let's go into solution mode. Full stop. Now what's the solution?
See that it is not a problem. The solution is to see that it is not a problem.
Yeah, I mean, see, of course, this is one way. So we're not saying, now here's a solution. Solution is what you have a solution, right? Everyone's got a different way. Everyone's got a different way. So,
Yeah, because I made that problem. But when I see it is not a problem, then I'm free from it. See, that is, but maybe it's not according to the...
Okay, I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
So one of my students, she comes and sees me at my house because she just wanted some, advice. And so we go for a park. We go for a walk in a park. And what does she tell me? She's got some, her brother wants the money because the parents, when they die, you know, the brother thinks all the money should go to him and she should not have any of it. Now, this is in real life we're talking. So now she needs to think, you know, what do I do about this? How do I have resilience to put up with my brother who is so unfair? He's not fair with me. So, you know, now could I just tell her, you know, it's not a problem. You know, so this is why I mean, it is, you know, it is on one hand, it applies. On another hand, for that person, for someone else, it does not apply. So this is why we don't recommend solutions. Here, do this, because that's only true for the person who recommended it. It's not true for you. The best that we can do is, hey, I'm sorry about the situation, but please do look into something that you can do. Something, maybe, you know, different ways of thinking. Maybe go and talk to your brother. I don't know, right? Go and do something. So see, it's in real life. You need what? You need resilience. You need titiksha. So now, in her situation, yes, she puts a full stop, right? She needs to put a full stop, but after the full stop, what comes? Then, okay, now let's list some things that I can do. What's the easiest thing that I can do? The easiest. Because we often give ourselves a hard thing. Go and talk to them and confront them. That's very confrontational. So the easiest thing. What's the easiest, simplest thing that I can do right now? Breathe. What's the second easiest thing that I can do right now? I can, think. I can think. This person also has their past. I can just involve some knowledge. This person also has their opinion. They think they're right. Okay, don't go farther than that. Another thing that I can do. Okay, so like this. So this, I'm not going to say which, but it's up to you to decide what can be done. And this is, doing so, what does this produce? It produces resilience. It produces endurance. So now we ask ourselves, in fact, look at life. Life is nothing but what? Series of events. And every one of those events demands involvement, involves participation. It does not, right? It involves participation. So now, when, how do I participate? Giving my best. How do I participate? By giving my best. So does that not involve some level of endurance? Because if you lose endurance, then what happens? Then we start to complain about the small things in life. Oh, the cup has, and then we make the whole, the whole scene about the cup. So what? Complaining about small things is almost like a marker that what am I lacking? Endurance. So what does it mean to complain about the small things? Anything a person does, right? They do the smallest thing and we get annoyed by that. We get, we have some opinion about that. What is that? Lack of endurance. Now, what is lack of endurance? Inability to accommodate what is going on. In fact, we have, value of values in the Bhagavad Gita, and we talk about accommodating. What does it mean to accommodate somebody? What does it mean to accommodate? To be an accommodative person? Think about this. What does it mean to be an accommodative person?
Wisdom and empathy.
Yeah.
Empathy, compassion.
Yeah. Okay. Now, what does it mean to have empathy towards someone? What will I have to understand behind to have sincere empathy?
Insights in the whole situation.
Not impose my likes and dislikes on
I mean,
Accepting what is.
Sorry?
Accepting what is.
Accept what is, okay.
See the other one for his own perspective and context.
All perspective,
Mm-hmm.
perspective, okay. Okay. I wanted to say that it's going to come to me now, but there was one thing I wanted to bring. What did you say again? I wanted to make a comment on what you said. It was really good.
That you have insight and oversee the whole situation, some kind of wisdom. But that requires, of course,
Yeah.
some shama.
Okay. So to be accommodative, what would you have to understand to be accommodative? Look at it this way. When are we not accommodative? When are we not accommodative?
When we No willingness.
We're tense, yeah.
So you need this passion, I guess.
When are you not accommodative towards a person?
There's resistance to it.
Why would you have resistance towards them?
Dislike and likes.
Dislike and like, okay, yeah. Yeah.
You have strong inclination towards one particular thing.
Tell me this, who is born with all knowledge here? Are you born with all knowledge? No. Everyone's born what? Ignorant. So what does this mean? Everyone's going to make a mistake whether they like it or not. I make mistakes, you make mistakes, everyone makes mistakes. We just don't know. So now, what is one way of being accommodative? You know, how do I develop empathy towards someone? One way is to understand this person doesn't know. They don't know. Because it's not their fault. Who is born with knowledge here, right? So now, not knowing, you know, it's not like they're doing it deliberately. They just don't know. They're born ignorant. By that alone, I can be a little bit more accommodative towards people, that everyone is going to make mistakes. That is just how it is. This is the world that we live in. And so by this, I can gain some accommodation. So now I want you to ask yourself, perhaps for homework, and the question is, when I am not accommodative, how am I thinking? When I am not accommodative, what is going through my mind? When I am not accommodative, what narrative, what story am I making up?
Prejudices. Prejudice.
Yeah, this is homework. This is homework. This is to be thought about. Because I tell you, because it always goes back to this, lack of accommodation, lack of what? Lack of endurance, lack of resilience. And so what? And now I'm unwilling to accommodate. So what? One problem is small things become big. Small things become big. And when small things become big, what happens? You know, now tell me, when are small things not happening? Never. Small things are always happening, right? So in other words, what? Life becomes one big made up of smalls. One big made up of small problems. And each one of them seems as big as life itself. Which is why, what? When something happens, our whole life becomes just about that thing and we lose perspective.
Would you say we should be accommodative towards ourselves as well?
Okay. Now, what does it mean to be accommodative towards yourself?
To accept one's faults?
Huh?
To accept one's weaknesses?
Okay, good. This is a great start. So we'll take this. What else does it mean to be accommodative towards yourself? Forgiving towards yourself, you know, accepting of what would you have to think behind that would cause you to be accommodative towards yourself?
So know that you don't know everything.
You don't know everything, good. We don't know everything. Yeah, I don't know everything. Good.
Being patient.
I mean, now I can ask a question, you know, what makes up a patient person? What I want to know the behind
Maybe
this.
especially that you know why am I not happy, so I can notice something has blind spots, something is not right here.
Yeah, blind
To
spots.
investigate. So an attitude of inquiring also.
Yeah, and also sometimes you see, even with all of the knowledge that you have, one still has to admire time. The one thing that is required is time. You know, even with once I had a personal issue, we all have personal issues, and no matter what I applied, I tell you, it just didn't go away. It only went away after 15 days of having to ponder, you know, after the, you know, one thing, you know, it was just time. You just have to be patient. So what else takes away resilience? We think that this is never going to go away. That's what takes away resilience, right? We take it as something that is going to go on and on and on. So what is one way of building resilience? Understand that, give yourself, hey, 1 week from now, let me go through this for 1 week. Let me check up on myself on a Monday. I'll see how I'm going. Like you literally give yourself a schedule. On a Monday, let's see how I will do. For now, because if we don't do this, what's going to happen? The mind imagines it's going to go on forever. And that makes it last a lot longer than it actually does in your mind. It makes it seem like it's lasting forever. So what, when we give ourselves a concrete, let me, go through this pain for 1 week and I'll check up on myself next week, then at least you have something to look forward to. Okay? Okay? So now you go, okay, I can hardly wait till next Monday, and that alone builds some resilience. Okay? So again, we're working with our minds here. So here in the verse it says what? Sahishnutvam. So sahishnutvam is capacity to put up with different situations. Sahishnutvam. What kind of situations? Shita ushna, cold and hot. So this is the definition in Sanskrit. So now what? Does this mean, go to Greenland and shorts, no problem there. Go to Qatar, hot, there's no problem there. This is how, in the Gita, Krishna says the wise one, is equanimous towards cold and hot and so on. And so some people take this as literally. They take a literal statement and they go, I should not feel cold, I should not feel hot. No, it's just that understanding that life is made up of polar opposites. This is life itself. It doesn't have to be cold and hot. It can be sukha dukkha. It can be happiness or unhappiness. Cold and hot, up and down. Okay? Sometimes there's some love in the relationship. Sometimes there's a distance in the relationship. So now, if I don't acknowledge the love and with it comes the distance, then what happens? I lose instantly my endurance. Then what happens, as Felix said, I want expectations. I want to get love. I want to sustain the honeymoon because what? Unwilling to accept the duality nature of life. The dualistic nature of life is to be accepted. And this is thus hot, cold. Sometimes we're getting along. Sometimes we're not getting along. Sometimes we're talkative. Sometimes we're not talkative. Sometimes, we feel energized. Sometimes we feel the opposite of energized, tired. So now if I don't accept the duality of life, then goodbye endurance. Okay, so this is why it says endurance, the heart of it is what? Shita ushna, sukha dukkha. So in other words, not getting too elated nor too depressed. Now, is this a superficial statement? Don't get too elated, too depressed? No, it comes out of an understanding that, how would you get too elated or too depressed? If you lose perspective of the dualistic nature of the world. Like a dog, wagging tail, so excited, and then what happens after? It's like business as usual. And now that calm down is such a huge contrast to that excitement period that now the calm down, which, even though it's the baseline of how it is, it seems like it's just a really boring, boring baseline right now. And how did I create a boring baseline? By allowing myself to what? To go to the extreme of excitement, to go, to love too much, to enjoy myself too much. So now, the moment we allow that too much, whether it's depressed too much or too much enjoyment, it creates the polar. Whatever comes after it is going to be a lot more painful than if we otherwise deliberately said, hey, the dualistic nature is, right now I'm happy, but you know what? The truth is, are you happy right now? Okay, the truth is, you're not going to be happy tomorrow. That's endurance. You're preparing yourself mentally for the inevitable. Right now, equally, right now I'm just kind of, gloomy, tired. It's not working out well right now. I'm not in the zone. I'm not in the zone right now. Okay, but tomorrow I will be in the zone. So now again, that makes it a lot more bearable. Okay, so this is endurance, accepting that you will not remain happy forever, at least while having a body. You will not, the word forever is incorrect. You will not remain happy, every day, nor will you remain depressed or unhappy every day. So in fact, both have to be experienced. Okay, next. Shraddha Kidrishi. Shraddha Kidrishi. Guru Vedanta Vakyadishu. Guru Vedanta Vakyadishu. Vishwasaha. Vishwasaha. Shraddha. Shraddha. So now, so guru. So what is trust? Faith or trust? It says. What is shraddha? So shraddha involves what? Having trust in the guru of who? Okay, what is guru? Guru is the one who throws light onto confusing matters. He throws light, she throws light onto matters that otherwise seem elusive. Okay? They call it what? Remover of darkness. This is just memorized statement. So guru is, and what kind of teaching does guru teach? What kind of what does guru teach? Look at this. In the verse it says Vedanta. Now, does it say, so what? If a guru teaches, Devanta, Devanta, that involves what? Lots of devas and lots of gods and goddesses, and making promises of the future. You will go to heaven, you will sport with Krishna, Vaikuntha, Kailasa, heaven. So I'm making promises here, and I'm a guru. I'm making promises, okay? This is not what a guru is. A guru is the one who shows you a reality that you cannot contradict while living in this life. Otherwise, to make a promise of something in the future, by definition, that cannot be trusted because I have no guarantee. Has this person even experienced that? So how can they teach it? So a guru is the one who simply shows you in the light of the Vedantic scriptures, what is this reality? And now this guru may give different answers. Why? Because you cannot teach, see, this is Europe, this is not India. And if I'm in India, this is not Europe. Okay, so now this means what? The guru needs to change their vocabulary according to the times, but also according to the audience which they are serving. So this means the guru may not always say what the scriptures are saying, but whatever they do say is what? Aligned with the teachings of the non-negatable statements contained in the Vedas. Okay, so this is one thing to note, which means that, that's not what the Vedas says. No, it doesn't matter. Why? We need to adapt to the modern times. Now, suppose, so now Vakyadishu. So in other words, what is trust? So it's Vakya, so words or the conduct as mentioned in the Vedanta, as expounded by the person, the expounder, as expounded by the expounder, by the teacher, by the guru. So now, what is this words and conduct? So this means what? The guru needs to first understand the words and the conduct in the Vedanta. If they don't understand it, that's going to what? Come across with the audience. That's going to be felt. Hey, they're speaking, but it's kind of inconsistent. So this means the words and conduct being taught in the scriptures, or in the Vedanta, is what the guru teaches. Why does the guru teach this? Because it has worked for that person. The words have worked for that person. Otherwise, the passion doesn't show. It's like if my teacher was showing teaching this, I would be looking for what? I would be looking for, is the passion coming through? So now this passion is a product of what? Their own life being transformed. So now the question is, how is the guru's life, transformed? Someone asked me this question when we're doing this seminar before we began, and now the students never ask you this, like, hey, Andre, how's your life personally being transformed? And I've no problems answering this. I just said I don't worry about the future anymore. The future is okay. I don't worry about death. That's good enough. I'm much more relaxed. So what has Vedanta done for me? It's just, made me chilled out, relaxed about the future. Settled in myself, a lot more settled than before. It's very simple. So now, if it's done that, and not settled for one day, no, settled permanently. Settled permanently in a state of relaxation. There's nothing to worry about. Constantly just sitting in a state of relaxation. There's nothing to worry about. There's nothing, because what? Everything's fine in the big picture. So now, if Vedanta has done this for the guru, that person has two choices. Either they can live their life, they can do whatever they want, they can get married or so on, or they can just teach it. Some people choose to live their life alone, some people choose to teach it, and thank God that the guru, they say when the knowledge takes place, what? The guru disappears. Now, if the guru disappeared, then who would be there to teach this? Who would be there to teach this knowledge, right? If the one who understood this, then who is there left for the rest of us? So thank God that the body still remains, because through that body, being a willing instrument of Vedanta, the knowledge can be expounded for the rest of us so that we can all learn. Otherwise, they say that teaching this knowledge, it's what? You're getting nothing back. Nothing's coming back to whom? Coming back to the person that I'm not. Okay, so it's not coming back to me, it's coming back to the person. So now, where is the benefit for me, the one who is other than this body? Where's the benefit? There's no benefit at all, and yet they're still teaching. So what does this mean? And the person is what? The guru has totally given up their sense of what? Their pride, giving up their sense of time, giving up their sense of, their personal endeavors. For what? Just to serve this knowledge, because it's helped them so much that it's a no-brainer to teach and give this back to the society. So this means the knowledge has worked so well that the person just cannot help themselves, because it holds so much value. So it's a very simple endeavor, and it's nothing mysterious, nothing special. Just like with anything that's changed your life significantly, you will just naturally want to share that. It's the same thing with Vedanta. Yeah. Almost there. Patience. Breathe. Okay, so Vishwasaha. So what this fella, who's this fella now? The student, right? The student has Vishwasaha, which means they have belief in the words of the teachings. Now, the question is, how do you believe something? Suppose I take this orange right now, and I say, please look at this orange. Please look at this orange. You see this orange? No. Huh? No, this is an orange. I'm telling you, this is an orange. Okay? So now, who are you trusting more? You're trusting what? Your eyes. So now, what are your eyes? Your eyes are pramana. Pramana means of knowledge, that by which knowledge takes place. So this means because you have trust in your eyes, knowledge of the object takes place. In other words, your eyes because you have more trust in your eyes, the words which I spoke were overridden by your faith in your own eyes. So this means what? Only if I have trust in the means of knowledge can knowledge take place. So in that similar manner, when it says Vishwasaha, in that same manner, when one has enough faith, trust in Vedanta, what happens? Knowledge takes place. Which is why they say, sometimes all you need is just faith. All you need is faith. My first teacher who I learned this Vedanta from, which was James, right? Now, I did not have any, all I had was faith. I just went entirely by faith. I call it gullible faith. I don't know anything. I'm just going to accept this as though it's true, and it worked really, really well. So now faith is extremely powerful. For the rest of us who don't have faith, we need everything else. We need Shama, we need Dhamma, we need Uparama, right? We need everything else. So faith alone can finish this whole journey, right? Very well. How are we going?
Very well.
I see some people are kind of dozing off.
Great.
It always happens at a 1 hour mark. Yeah. Okay, so we'll finish. So this is a short one. The next one. Samadhanam kim. Samadhanam kim. Chittaikagrata. Chittaikagrata. Okay, so this is a very short one, and what I hear. Yeah, so it's absorption. See, samadhanam. This word is actually made up of 2 words. So sama always means the same, and adhanam is putting in. So now, when it says what is samadhanam, it says here it is concentration, absorption of the mind in one single thing. So now, what does that involve? It involves what? Putting in the same kind of thoughts for a length of time. Therefore, samadhanam, putting in related thoughts, right, related to the subject matter for a certain amount of time is what gives you concentration. Now, is concentration something you generate, or is it something you discover? Just like with this passion. You know, they give you concentration exercises. They give you, the whole Patanjali Yoga Sutra. You go yama, niyama, do some asanas, concentrate on, stay there, do your, pratyahara, pranayama, do your breathing. That also helps with concentration, right? And then dharana, dhyana, that also helps with concentration. This is one way. But do you really need to generate concentration?
Interest.
I mean, huh?
Interest. Interest.
Interest.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, no, what I heard was interest. I'll go with that actually.
Yeah.
Now,
I'm interested in the topic.
Yeah, no, excellent. So this is where I was going. Poker players can play for hours. They don't develop concentration skills. So in other words, they're so interested, they know the value of the topic so much, they're automatically, in concentration mode. So now, if one's complaining and saying, I cannot sit down for more than 10 minutes and concentrate, what's the problem? The problem is you have not even established what can this do for me? How is this benefiting me? You have not even developed an emotional connection. The question is now, how do I develop an emotional connection to something so that I develop interest? The answer is by being very clear. Go for a walk and get very clear. What is the benefit? What's the big, how will I, enjoy myself? How will I benefit from this process? How will I personally benefit? See, they say that if your why is big enough, if your reason for something is big enough, the how is automatically taken care of. You don't have to worry how to concentrate, just concerned about why do I need to know this topic? Why do I want to master this topic? To learn a language, right? Some people struggle for years. Some people get it really fast. What's the difference between those who struggle and those who get it fast? Interest, okay? But what's, huh?
The reason why they are there.
Reason why. Hey, I tell you, you will remember someone's name. If I say to you, I put, like this, and I say, if you don't remember the following 10 names, bang, bang, you're going to remember these names, I guarantee you, because you have a reason, like I better survive, right? So now, same thing here, right? We don't have enough reason to read, to actually stay here. So this means what? We need to kind of spend a little time going over what's my personal benefit here. They call it the channel. You tune into the channel called WIIFM. what's in it for me, right? Now, so, how am I going to benefit from this information? And
yeah,
this...
That's beautiful. And you also, that's why you need to be a sincere seeker, and then you have, you want to know.
You want to
This
know.
is all about.
Yeah.
That's great force.
Yeah, so you know the value of it so much that you've got so much interest that you're just willing to pay attention, and anything that speaks that language, they're just going to sit down in front and they're going to, really listen. Okay, so this is concentration. So again, you see, we're trained in a society to develop this passion, develop concentration, okay, develop mind management. I tell you, just align with Swadharma, align with the duty, your mind's automatically managed. Do the right thing, right? Focus on the things that you really do, find yourself empowered by. We're automatically doing the right things. Oh, concentrate, go and do this exercise, this. No, again, it's to be discovered by knowing about your relative person, knowing about this relative person. By knowing about this relative, what moves me, what compels me, what makes me get up in the morning, what makes me, what gives me energy, what, in those moments when I'm tired, what kind of thoughts will I have to think that thinking so, it will just, impel me to get up, it will just instill, it's just ample, so much energy in me from my heart outwards that I just feel compelled to go out. And then when I do go out, I don't even feel tired. What kind of thoughts will I have to have for that kind of person to be like that, for you to be like that? So this involves what? Knowing thyself. No, not just the absolute self, but knowing what? The relative self also. So this is the importance of absorption of the mind, because you're able to get a lot more for what? In 30 minutes than you can get in 10 minutes. And so to get a lot more, to extract depth out of something, how do you get depth out of something? Depth, not shallowness, depth. You need time. And time requires you, the person, the thinker, to remain there for an ample amount of time. And how do I remain there for an ample amount of time? Because I know the implications of figuring this out, the kind of massive benefits it will have for me in the future. I'm clear on that, and therefore, what? Concentration, and you're going to be ruminating on a thought for what? A certain amount of time, which we call concentration. Yeah. Now, I said at the beginning, session 1, I said I inquire for 5 hours a day. This is, in fact, I'm afraid to say 8 because no one's going to believe me, but this is my life. Inquiring for so long, how? Because I understand the value and I respect this knowledge so much that what happens? Automatically the mind is tuned in. It's concentrated for hours. 1 hour, this is like nothing. They do 3-year course in Dayananda. 3-year course, and what do? They do 4 sessions. That's about 5 hours. That's nothing, So in other words, if you love something so much, I tell you, 5, 6, 8 hours is nothing, right? So now talk about concentration, talk about absorption of the mind. It's really being so clear, having so much love for something that concentration is not an issue at all. Yeah. So this is to be discovered. And how do you discover this? This is your effort. No one can tell you. This is your effort to be discovered. Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.